Hello from Cleveland. Welcome to Off the Roster, brought to you by our founding partner, Proline. Betting on Proline is now easier than ever with their new app. Download it today and make things interesting. I'm Lindsay Dunn. That's Dan Riccio. That is Cabbie. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday morning where I will be jetting out of Cleveland in about 30 minutes time. I'm bailing on you guys early. But
I think you're riding out of Cleveland. Sorry to be so semantical about it, but yeah, you're
I would expect nothing less from you, Dan. I would expect nothing less from you today, buddy. We're going to have Willu of Hello and Welcome on in a moment. Of course, not only the best Raptors podcast in the world, but my favorite. But before we get to that, I need to talk about how many points did you think Brandon Ingram was going to score yesterday, Dan?
Oh, okay. That's what we're leading the show with, narrative streak.
Kick a man when he's down. I mean, it's not his fault. It's not Dan's fault.
He came at me for what I said.
The logic
Come
made
on, Dan.
Made sense.
Man, hey, narrative street was right. They would give the ball to BI more, but the shots weren't dropping. So it's kind of a problem. But yeah, that was a tough one. So unfortunately, to everybody that was riding with me yesterday, we'll try and get back in the win column later today. Let's say that.
And who would have predicted that Brandon Ingram would have the worst playoff game of his career, or among top two of his career in game two in Cleveland? Nobody would have predicted. And I think the line was 21 and a half. 20 and a half or 21 and a half.
Yeah, it's maybe the worst in Raptors playoff history, which is, that's saying
hold
something.
On. Kyle did have the
donut game. Yeah.
In game one against Orlando in 2019. But anyway, it wasn't pretty for BI. Sorry, go ahead, Lindsay. You were there. You saw it live.
Yeah.
So
oh, did I ever? And what I love is that the media is being blamed for this right now because they said BI was held to his shot and what his shots were not happening because the media kept making it such a big storyline of how terribly he performed in game one of the playoffs. No, that's not how it worked at all. At all. But there's a fun storyline that came after. We'll have Will on in a moment. And I'll let you guys know just the fun scenario of this is he's sitting about 10 feet away from me right now. I know they're trying to figure out the audio, but after the game, Darko was asked about Brandon Ingram and, how the fact that he did not get to the free throw line. And he's just said, it's a physical game, but also interesting. Wouldn't you say it's interesting that he didn't get to the charity stripe? But then I looked. I didn't really. Donovan Mitchell, how many times did he get there? Once. So interesting.
When somebody says something is interesting or that's an interesting take. It's just a nice way of saying that's a bad take,
Yeah, I don't want to get fined.
Darko was very passive aggressive in his post game last night towards the referees and how they managed that game. I'm not going to make any excuses for BI though, because the man was just throwing up brick after brick last night.
Oh, listen, I've grabbed this little nugget from Cleveland.com, one of my new favorite websites to read in this series. And one of the talking points in Toronto going into game two was how to get Brandon Ingram more involved. Obviously, we know he took 8 shots in the first half of game one and then a shot in the second half of game two. Donovan Mitchell, after the game, said this, and I quote, Toronto ran some different actions to get him going. But you have to give credit to Dean Wade, Keon Ellis, James Harden, Jalen Tyson, Evan Mobley, whoever was on him, just trying to make it tough. And for the first 2 games, we've done a solid job. We can keep that going. So credit to Cleveland for throwing body after body at Brandon Ingram, and the guy could never get it going. But on the other side of the ball, Donovan Mitchell and James Harden.
That's the point, Cab. The Raptors defended the heck out of Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. Guess what? Their shots were still dropping. When you're the top guy on the team, your shots have got to drop in the playoffs. That's the bottom line.
Yes, but the Raptors don't have a top 75 player ever on the team. Actually, maybe Scottie Barnes someday make the top 100 when they revise the list in 2046 because the NBA started in 1946. But James Harden is just an unbelievable playmaker. And the stat that jumped out at me in this game with James Harden, 5 steals. Yeah. 5 steals for someone who's been much maligned for their defense his entire career. Also gave up 5 turnovers, which was great. And
Raptors did not guard that ball.
What's that?
The Raptors did not guard the ball, which is rule 1.
22
guard the ball.
turnovers by Toronto was a weird one to see. But you're right, like Dan, like Cleveland's got elite playmakers. Donovan Mitchell could, was balling out of control, and Evan Mobley was just eating in the paint. Bro was 11 for 13, in the game. But with Brandon Ingram, sorry, I want to get back to what you said, Lindsay. Like, after the game, were some players on Toronto blaming like the media, like that the narrative street, as Dan likes to say, about Ingram's poor performance in game 1 and game 2? Do we have that correct?
Yeah. And I honestly, do you know who's part of that problem? Somebody that is sitting 10 feet away from me is the host of Hello and Welcome, Will Liu, who's to blame for Brandon Ingram's game. How do you feel about this? This is your first time being able to speak on the record about you being the problem.
Also, good morning, sir. Good morning.
Oh, hello, everybody. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah,
yes.
we're
okay.
Will.
Yeah. All right. Guys, you could put the media, add them all together. None of us make $40 million. And I'm listening to the discussion that you guys are having. I do. And it's very funny to hear names like Dean Wade, Keon Ellis, James Harden mentioned in a defensive context. That has not happened outside of this series. I understand that these guys are locally good defenders, but if they go to the next round against Detroit, or if they go to the conference finals against Cleveland, I promise you're not going to see Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Cade Cunningham being like, we can't solve Dean Wade. Brother, that was the worst playoff performance we've seen from a Toronto star. And I remember when DeMar DeRozan played against the Bucks in 2017, and Giannis Antetokounmpo's at the podium, and he's literally looking at the box score with a bewildered look on his face, and he's like, in his Greek accent, which I'm going to try to imitate here, he's like, DeMar DeRozan, 8 points, and it was just frito. Like, that's what it was. And honestly, that was a better performance than what Brandon gave last night. It's not just to say that this is a team that needs Brandon to match the opposing players. I think realistically, we know he's not as good as Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. But if the big discussion after game 1 was how can we get Brandon more involved, and Darko moves heaven and earth, because you can watch it. Darko went into his bag. He figured out all sorts of ways to get Brandon involved. And Brandon responds with 7 points, 3 of 15 shooting, and 5 turnovers. That single-handedly killed the game. Actually, the Raptors did a lot of good things across the board. Darko also benched Jakob Poeltl, which is a whole separate conversation, but he did it. He played Scottie Barnes 40 minutes. RJ stepped up. Mamu, CMB, Jacoby off the bench. They all did great. On the road, Cleveland's role players couldn't play well. They just needed not the worst performance ever from a Toronto Raptor in the playoffs, from a star context. And that's unfortunately what happened. And so I don't want to hear about, it's the media who did this and that. Dog, if you're blaming the media and Dean Wade, you got to look in the mirror, man. That's on you.
Talk.
It's
I'm going to say talk that.
It's pretty much the equivalent of a wide receiver being like, I need the ball more, and then he has 5 drops after he gets the ball more. Like, that's kind of what BI's performance was a little bit last night.
I need to bring up the DeMar slander, though. I don't think this is acceptable. And Will, I know you want to stare at me because we're 10 feet apart, but look at the camera. So look down.
I'm somewhere else.
Just the slander of them comparing this to DeMar's performance in the playoffs, and DeMar's name was trending. I do not think this is fair.
Why not, Lindsay?
Well, because when he had that not great first game, he came back and had a 30-piece. He contributed to the Raptors' rotation when he was in the playoffs, the games after, whereas Brandon Ingram did not. He was a liability on the court for the Toronto Raptors. So am I wrong in this? I think he's been catching strays also all year that has not been warranted, of people saying about him going up and up on that all-time scoring list. Some people are like, he's just getting mid-range shots. Well, a lot of players take mid-range shots and they're not in the top 20. So do you think that the comparison of DeMar DeRozan's playoff performance to Brandon Ingram's yesterday, which you just mentioned, which one of the worst playoff performances by a Raptors ever, is comparable and fair?
I mean, there's no other historical context. Like, we literally have, we've been around for 10 years, more than 10 years, watching this team. Like, the next closest performance from a star player for the Raptors in a playoff setting was DeMar DeRozan. Like you can go find the clip. It was a very viral clip 10 years ago, which is a long time. But Giannis legit is at the free throw line, looking at the box score and being like, "Damn, DeMar only had 8 points and they're all free throws." So, and that's like literally the next closest comparable. So it sucks that DeMar got rolled up into this, but I think that unfortunately he's got a great legacy in Toronto, and I think his number should be retired. And he's been nothing but nice to all of us. But if we're being honest about his playoff context, he was like genuinely an all-time playoff dropper. And unfortunately, Ingram's going down that route right now. He has 2 more games at least to try to buck that trend. But I think it's fair to provide a context as to sort of how he's playing. I think a lot of people remember DeMar for both the good and the bad.
One quick thing, but also he was taking on LeBron James. I'm not going to say that James Harden or anybody in the Cleveland roster is comparable to LeBron James. Completely different team that he took on in the time, but just
that's fair, because right now we're talking about Dean Wade and the
Dean
media
Wade forever.
Dean Wade in the media. Yeah, it's true. Will, I also want to shout you out for wearing a Juventus shirt the other night on the post game show. Really appreciated that. It was very nice.
That's purely for fashion, as you know. Juventus is not a strong team at the moment.
Well, yeah, we don't need to bring that up, but the fashion worked. It's so the whole Raptors thing. It's been interesting coming back from Vancouver for me and seeing how the city is kind of embracing, and it's felt like there's been a lack of, I don't know, casual fans jumping on the Raptors bandwagon right now, despite the team, having a bounce back year. And I'm watching this play out last night, and it's just like, well, what a champion is if you're a Raptors fan, or even as a casual fan. You've seen it now in 2019, and that's kind of the core issue with this Raptors team right now for me and a lot of people looking at the big picture is like, can we believe in this core that they're not just making it to the playoffs for this year, but there's something exciting that they could be building over the next few years? And these first 2 games against Cleveland kind of, they don't give you a lot of confidence in where this core could go.
Yeah, I've actually had conversations with people in the Raptors, and they've asked me this question because I think sometimes they look at me as like a harbinger of what the fan sentiment is. And one of the questions is like, why aren't more people excited for us? Like, why aren't we talked about more? Not off the roster and hello and welcome, but just in general, like, why aren't we talking about more? Why isn't there more excitement? And I think it comes down to a couple things. I think number one, this team has consistently shown over 82 games, and now over the first 2 games of the postseason, that they can't beat good teams, right? It just is what it is. I think the record against top 3 seeds basically they got swept by the Celtics, they got swept by the Knicks, they got beat by pretty much every Western Conference contender as well. They did split with OKC, but this team just has not shown the ability to punch up against better tier competition. I think the other thing too is just like realistically, Raptor fans kind of grew up and not became spoiled, but like became accustomed to having the good things. So I think it's a very different generational divide. I remember 2014 when the Raptors made it back then. That was one of our best seasons ever, man. Like 48 wins, not too dissimilar to the 46 this year. A group that got to the postseason for the first time, and there was just crazy excitement. Like, it was genuine, it was organic. Jurassic Park was born that year. Masai goes out there and gives his infamous quote about F Brooklyn. There's a new energy, a new MLSE president, and like a new identity with We the North. And even though the Raptors lost in 7 in that series, but it was like everyone was behind the team 1,000%. In fact, they revived the franchise. I think like a lot of people want to make that comparison to 2014, but I think the hard part is you look at the team right now. What's organic about the team, right? Last time it was supposed to be kind of an accident that it popped up like that, and then we're like, okay, DeMar, we can ride with you. Kyle, we can ride with you, and all these support players. Like some of you are good, but most of you guys are just like we just love you guys unconditionally, and that was the first time we got it. Now we're like, okay, first off, we saw 2019. So we know what a real champion looks like. We've even seen this 5 years leading up to 2019 because we saw what a really good team, but not a contender, looks like. We've now looking at a team where, I mean, you have to, download an app, then enter a raffle with fan points just to get into the Jurassic Park outside. Jurassic Park does not stretch for the entirety of Bremer now. It's a contained little, throng of 200 people, and it's getting rained on and there's ads all over you. It's just like, all right, cool. Like, that's one thing, but like on the court, the product is like it's been oversold in a way that doesn't really feel like relative to like what the actual product is. And yes, there are still a young team fundamentally trying to break through, and I could see that comparison. But that 2014 team, man, they played with like crazy grit, crazy heart. Like I'm thinking about like even 12 years after, like Terrence Ross's steal in Game 7 to like maybe give the Raptors a chance, or like Kyle Lowry going off and like legitimately looking like the best player in the series at certain points. And, you know, the way DeMar would attack the basket relentlessly and take the punishment from these guys, I don't necessarily see that with some of the top-end guys. I mean, like, with B.I. struggling is one thing, but Scottie hasn't really figured out his way into the series. Like, we weren't expecting Scottie to outplay, like, Mitchell and Harden, but he had to win this matchup against Evan Mobley, and Evan Mobley's been eating his lunch all series. Like, dog, that's another L, right? Because we've been talking about Scottie versus Evan Mobley since they came in the draft together 3-4 in the Rookie of the Year race. I mean, it's not even a conversation as to who's played better so far in the series. So, like, yes, guys like Jacoby, CMB, they've shown heart, but we get the analogy, about this team. It's like going to a restaurant and being like, man, the appetizer's amazing, the drinks were amazing, the service was amazing, the desserts, oh my god, but the mains were 3 of 15 with 5 turnovers, and it was cooked by Dean Wade. I'm not going to that restaurant again, man.
Yeah, it's true. It's
great main event. What restaurant is that, Will?
Oh,
I've been in Cleveland for the last 5 days, so
okay, so it's all of the ones in Cleveland. Got it. Yeah.
All of the ones in Cleveland. The other and hey, look, I know salute to Darko. Like he coached his ass off last night, as you mentioned earlier, and you know he made the difficult decision of benching Jakob Poeltl in the second half, and that's another part of this issue. Like, hey, maybe why Keith Pelly is pulling back the purse strings on the Maple Leafs. He's like, man, have you seen the contracts that the Jakob Poeltl and IQ are getting right now? But that's besides the point. It's just, what do the Raptors do here with Jakob? Is there a bounce back? Do they have to move away from him in the entire series? How does this look moving forward?
I mean, look, it's not good.
Yeah.
I think all year, literally since training camp, he's been talking about a bad back that he sustained at some point. To be fair to Jakob, he was pretty good last year. And I don't know if he was 100 million good, but he was pretty good last year. And I actually really liked Jakob coming into the season. But he's been out for half of it with the games. And in all the important games, which I'm really thinking about, like the stretch run to make the playoffs at the end. I think about the NBA Cup, which is a million years ago now, but how they looked against the Knicks. Think about how the first 2 games against the Cavs. You pay that much for Jakob because you want to just buy it and forget it. Okay? You paid a premium, but maybe if you don't have to think about it, then it's good. You have to think about it with him, man. Like it is not a situation where like, you know, you've now like relinquished a problem. This is a problem for the team. And I just commend Darko because he made a hard choice yesterday. Darko is very much known for let's keep everyone happy, positive. You know, like we're running a summer camp here. Like everyone's gonna get involved. Everyone's gonna get be happy and whatever. That's good for 82 games. But you build that trust with your players so that in game 2, when you're really in it, you make that bold move. And like Darko did great yesterday. Like sometimes I complain about Darko because like whatever people complain about coach. I have no complaints about Darko yesterday. He drew up a whole new playbook for Brandon, which he just turned to garbage. Then he has a whole new rotation, which he was bold enough to pull out. And at the end of the day, I don't care about Jakob Poeltl's feelings about this. It's the postseason. You're a veteran. If you're not performing, and by the way, the amount of times that the Cavs want to attack, Jakob Poeltl on that end. On the other end, Jakob Poeltl's cramping the spacing. Because once you see him out the game and CMB and Mamu in the game, A, we can get offensive rebounds again, B, we can run again, and C, even in a half court, Scottie and RJ can drive to the basket again. So it's not even a dumping on Jakob. It's just like he's not a positive right now. So like I don't know, sometimes I get tired of the politics in sports, and I understand contracts and your draft position always comes into it. But right now it's the playoffs, man. Like you got to do what's best for you. And I salute Darko for just doing the best for the Raptors, which was to literally bench Jakob for the entire second half.
Well, good morning. I want to clean up a couple things. One, Kyle Lowry was 0 for 7 against Orlando Game 1, 2019. So that was a worse performance than DeMar DeRozan, just to defend my co-host, Lindsay Dunn. Okay. Number 2, some positives about last night's game. Raptors scored 16 on the fast break. Raptors won the rebounding battle 42-35 and outscored Cleveland 64-52 in the paint. So, Will, after processing the Game 2 loss, which was
Yeah.
115-105 by Cleveland to Toronto. And the Raptors bench scored 45 points. Who do you think Coach Darko Rajakovic trusts?
Oh, I think we know who we trust. Number one was Scottie Barnes. Surprisingly, RJ has jumped both Jakob and Brandon in the pecking order in terms of the trust. I think he's clearly number two because RJ's been fantastic the 2 games. In terms of matching the scoring, obviously he can't really defend these guys, but at least he can score on these guys. He's been very efficient. Last night he was 10 of 13 from the field. Mamu bounced back in a great way. CMB's been awesome both games. I would say he's the third most trustworthy. And then with Jamal, it's so weird because, objectively had a pretty bad game. 1 of 5 from the field with some untimely turnovers in 38 minutes. You only have 3 points from your point guard. But I don't know, watching the game, I was like, I actually did trust how Jamal was playing. It's almost like Jamal was playing a little bit too hard. But I understand that because, his role is to, be out there, energize the bunny. Somehow he's maintaining that energy over 38 minutes rather than the usual 18 he plays off the bench. So I actually kind of was okay with it, even though the box score looked really nasty. Jacoby played really well as well. I trust him. Even AJ Lawson's coming in and I trust him. I think the way to beat the Cavs is you got to be really athletic. You got to put as much shooting on the floor as possible. You got to play fast. And you still got to somewhat survive under the glass against Mobley and Allen. And I think they got closer to that formula yesterday. That's why I was pretty satisfied with the game. I know they lost and ultimately they're down 2-0, but they got into a 6-point game in the fourth quarter. Darko made the necessary adjustments. And if it honestly wasn't for that bad of a branding, and this is where I will push back on you, Cabbie, because I love and respect you for bringing that up. But Kyle was a plus 12 in that game. And the thing with Brandon and versus Kyle Lowry is Kyle Lowry does all the other stuff. He plays defense. He hustles. He set up his teammates. He'll rebound.
Takes charges.
He'll literally crawl under a man's legs. I saw 5 plays yesterday where Brandon Ingram wouldn't even hustle to get the rebound right in front of him. They're literally opposites as players, Cap.
No, you're right. And I think he had 8 assists and I want to say 6 or 7 rebounds that game too. And he was a 6'0" or 6 foot point guard. Okay, so that's a fair pushback, Will. A couple of things. Yeah, you mentioned the Raptors cutting the lead to 6. Mamu had that nice pump fake from the corner, drives, and I think it was 92-86 at that point, but that's the closest that Toronto got. So moving forward to game 3, they say that role players play better at home. So who do you expect from Toronto to have role players specifically? Who are you encouraged by, and who do you expect to have a pretty solid game 3 at home on Thursday?
I mean, I think we kind of saw it a little bit on game 2, right? They're going to need Mamu, Jacoby, CMB to be excellent. In fact, I wouldn't even mind if they flipped Jamal and Jacoby in the starting lineup because I think Jacoby's providing more of that stability with the outside shooting. I think Jamal's also doing a decent job of being the only point guard out there. Obviously, the rest of it falls on Scottie to do. And RJ has been sort of promoted more as a point guard in IQ's absence. But yeah, those 3 guys, man. I mean, I think that it's going to be all hands on deck. I think I like the level of fight and effort that they played with yesterday. It's a level of desperation. And if you really step back and think about it, it's dude, at a certain point, what are you supposed to do against Donovan Mitchell, man? You're already putting Scottie Barnes on him. You're face guarding him. On screens, you're blitzing him. And he's still hitting threes. Or against James Harden, where you're rotating, switching, off-ball switching, bringing help, double team late fade away against the shot clock, and he still drains it. It's all right, you're not going to win that game. You know what I mean? But I think the key is, can you shut down Evan Mobley, who's actually killed the Raptors through 2 games? Yeah. If you could take the Cavs from a top 3 to a top 2, then you're actually one step closer. Now, I think the role players for Cleveland really stepped up in game 1, but the role players in Toronto really outplayed them in game 2. So at least it shows that it's possible for the Raptors, the role guys, to step up in this way. And again, it cannot be said enough, but Cleveland is not some sort of unbreakable team. Okay, they look great, and I respect them a lot. But again, when they go ahead and they go farther in the playoffs, it'll show you the difference between when they're playing Toronto versus when they're playing other teams. Because I'm not going to be hearing about Dean Wade top blocks against Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I promise you.
Oh my God.
Shout out to
I
Dean
love this
Wade.
so much. Yeah. For a while, someone was like, are they talking about James Wade? I'm like, what? Like the coaching staff? What's happening with some such casual Raptors fans? I love them. Speaking of casual, in the chat, I will let you know for anyone listening or just joining us right now, he's about 12 feet away from me in the exact same room. And I said, just so everyone knows, Will is wearing his shoes in the house, the Airbnb right now. And so we put out a poll right now saying, is it fair or foul to wear shoes inside? And I'll let you know that 75% said that it is foul. But Mel in the chat defending you, saying when you're in an Airbnb or hotel, you can absolutely wear your shoes inside. So some people have you on their back and they love this, but something I loved yesterday happened in arena, and you saw my reaction in real time. On Saturday's game, we played this on the show on Monday about how they had this crazy in-arena entertainment where it was like watching somebody eat their food and regurgitate it. Weird thing. Well, they upped it yesterday. If you do not see this, they took a leaf blower and put it in people's face, and it's called the Don't Blink Cam. We will be doing this in studio at one point, but just watch this. Like, this guy,
shout out to Nick Offerman's cousin.
Oh my God, this guy, yeah. This is this man's Super Bowl right here. Look at how fired up he is for this.
Wow.
And then
this
like,
is everything he has a British accent. Life.
And now watch, this one is, how did they find this guy?
Wow, this is a real person? Yeah. Oh my goodness. What? Oh, this is tremendous.
That haircut, man.
Oh, so on that note,
that beard.
Will, would you be willing to try this in studio off the roster when we're back in Toronto? Because we do have to leave because we need to drive back there. Would you try this?
Lindsay, have I not suffered enough? Like, you've been around. It's 5 days, 24 hours. Like, you know how down bad I am with the Raps being the way they are. Would I rather do this versus watching what Brandon did in Game 2? I'd actually do that.
Totally.
Well, we appreciate your time. Real quick, can you give a plug to the awesome event that you guys are having on Thursday?
That's right. Everybody come out on Thursday. Come out to watch us with the live watch party. Don't even come out for us. Come out for Danny Green. Danny Green will be there, 2019 champion. We'll talk with Danny after the game too about sort of how it all went down. But yeah, it'll be really fun. It'll be at Chef's Hall and not awkward. But I think you may be able to make both watch parties. I think Chef Hall is close enough to the actual square itself. So you can walk back and forth. You can represent the whole nation of that one.
I love it. Can't wait to hear about that. We'll also have Danny Green on Off the Roster on Thursday morning, promoting the amazing event that you guys, of course, will put on. We appreciate your time, Will. Thank you so much. We also will be having a live watch-along party on Off the Roster's YouTube with Cabbie and Dan. I'm not a part of this because I'm going to be inside the building, but Dan and Cabbie, tell the people what they're going to be able to experience.
Yeah, we are, we're hosting a live watch party from Jurassic Park in the most interesting seats in the house with Proline. So we're excited for that. We will live all the ups and downs. We will claw our eyes out if Brandon Ingram has anything close to the same game that he had last night, because that would be bad for all involved.
Brandon Ingram's going to go off for like 30 points. I'm just calling you now. So. Also, thank you, Will, for joining us. I know that I don't know if he's still in the room, but thank you very much, Will.
Let's show everyone how close you actually are.
Hello, everybody.
You couldn't have said that creepier in any way. Oh, my gosh.
Are you stopping at Arby's again on the way back?
Can we stop at Arby's on the way back? That's the question.
Goodness,
no.
The answer
is
no.
That was an emphatic no. No. If you,
it's the correct answer, Will. Correct answer.
It is not the correct answer. If you missed it, he never tried Arby's before. And like to set the scene, it was amazing.
Yes.
We were in the one in Burlington, and beside us,
lovely.
like the water was dripping from the ceiling into a garbage pail. It really set the scene. And Jerome sat in so much water before we even went in, so it looked like he peed all over himself, which like he may have, but maybe not. No, he didn't. So it's great. But we are heading out. So I appreciate you guys. I know you have a fantastic guest coming on right after this. So. Wish them good luck because they now are going to spend 5.5 hours in a car with me.
See you later, Lindsay. That is Lindsay Dunn. She'll be back tomorrow here on Off the Roster after they drive back from Cleveland and get ready for Game 3 on Thursday between the Cavaliers and Raptors. Series is obviously 2-0 for the Cavs. Man. Honestly, Cab, like I'm at the point where it's like, will the Raptors get one? Like, will there be a gentleman's sweep even in this?
We should have stole game 2. Like the Montreal Canadiens stole game 1. The Atlanta Hawks stole game 2 in New York. I'm trying to think of another. The Orlando Magic stole game 1 in Detroit. Like we should have stole game 2. But I believe that game 3, like the guys will feel more comfortable at home. Obviously, there's going to be way more pressure for the Raptors because they're going to be in their home gym, sleep in their beds, family members in town. But as they say, role players play better at home, and 45 points off the bench yesterday was very promising for Toronto. And Dean Wade has never been mentioned more on a Canadian podcast than he was today, along with his teammates that were just Kenny Atkinson was just throwing at Brandon Ingram. Shout out to Coach Rajakovic trying to game plan and figure out ways to get Ingram some quality shots, and 3 for 15 is not going to do it. I'm sure he was in the gym, or will be the first person in the gym today when they're actually probably in the gym right now, just getting up shots and just getting back into his rhythm. So I believe Toronto will win at least one.
He got open looks. He just couldn't drop them. So it wasn't on Darko last night. I think that one's pretty much all on BI. All right, we'll get more on the Raptors tomorrow as we continue following this series. We'll get into the Jays a little bit later on. They were winners over the Angels last night. Jeff Hoffman striking out the side in the 9th inning to close down the game, which was very nice to see. Let's bring in our next guest, Daily Faceoffs, Tyler Yaremchuk, joining us to talk a little bit of Stanley Cup playoffs. What's up, Tyler?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, what's up, boys? Drank a ton of tall draft beers last night at the game. Watched the Oilers win. What a vibe.
Yes, it sounds like a vibe. And a game where the Oilers won for the first time this year when Connor McDavid did not get a point. It's like I don't know if I want to say Connor wanted to prove a point that he didn't need to score a point for the Oilers to win a game, but it was impressive nonetheless.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more the rest of the team was like, hey, can we prove that we can win without Connor just doing a bunch of it? But McDavid was weird last night. Like on a couple of those power plays, he did not look like the usual Connor McDavid, and listen, I'm a big believer that in a playoff series, if you lose 6-1 or you lose 3-2, it really doesn't matter. Like a loss is a loss and a win is a win. And momentum, Bob McKenzie was someone who always said momentum doesn't carry over from game to game. So I think from an Oilers perspective, just last night, does it matter that there was no Connor McDavid points and that you won with your depth? Traditionally, I would say no, but I do think that should strike a little bit of fear into Anaheim that that was the game where Connor McDavid didn't have his best and we blew a third period and couldn't get the job done. I do think there are a lot of positives to pull from an Oilers perspective out of that win.
Yeah, and for Stan Bowman, who's taken a lot of heat, and I think from my perspective at least deservedly so, and especially for that Jason Dickinson trade, I mean him getting 2 in the opening of the playoffs, probably a win for Stan Bowman and the Oilers in that sense. I'm curious your take, because this team has been to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, as we know. Are they better in any way than the 2 teams that have been to the final the last 2 years?
Yeah, and listen, I'm trying not to, overreact to just watching last night's hockey game, but I do think the depth of this team is much closer to what we saw maybe in 2024 than what we saw last year with the Oilers, where I do think there were more nights where it had to be Connor and it had to be Leon. I think the depth is really, really solid. Like they're running out a third line last night, at least to start the game. I know they had to jumble things around when Adam Henrique got hurt. Running a third line last night that had Jason Dickinson, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Jack Roslovic on it. That's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who's played over 1,000 games in the NHL and has been a point-per-game guy for a lot of his seasons in Edmonton. Jack Roslovic scored 21 goals this year, and Jason Dickinson is a premier third-line shutdown center. That's a really good third line that not a lot of other teams can match up against there. So yeah, I think the depth of this team is solid. Then the other thing is between the pipes. Listen, last night wasn't exactly a banner night statistically for Connor Ingram, but for people who watched that hockey game, Connor Ingram gives Oilers fans a reason to be pretty confident he has a higher floor than Stuart Skinner and the goalies that the Oilers have had in the past. And I think that's a really, really big difference for the Edmonton Oilers, is that, not only are you going to get nights where he makes the big saves like he did last night, but you're going to get a lot of nights where Connor Ingram just flat out doesn't give up the wind out of your sails. How does that one go in? You need a save right there moment. That the Oilers had too many of those moments in the past. So I think goaltending and the floor of the goaltending and also the depth of this forward group are reasons to be really optimistic.
As far as this series is concerned, are the Ducks a real threat to the Oilers? Or are they kind of just like, hey, we're in a rebuild, or we're in a rebuild, it's our first time back in the playoffs, we're just kind of happy to be here?
I really don't see them as much of a threat. And I was on with the guys on DFO. They're like, listen, as much as I'm an Edmonton guy through and through, and Oilers Nation every day, and I don't hide the fact that I want to watch the Edmonton Oilers win a Stanley Cup. I'm also someone who can be a realist at times. I didn't get the vibe coming into this series that the Ducks were going to be able to compete with the Oilers. I mean, I know people are going to point to Gudas and Trouba and Karlsson. It's like, oh, it's this big veteran blue line. What we saw last night is they can't skate, and that was my big problem. Like, you can sit here and talk about, is Radko Gudas or is Trouba going to be lining up McDavid all series? And what we saw today, there was a play in the third period. Trouba had him in the trolley tracks, and McDavid was just too quick. He flat out missed him and hit nothing but boards. So I think the blue line's a little bit too slow. I think the forward group is a little bit too inexperienced in Anaheim. And my take coming into the series was, if the Ducks didn't win one of these first two games, like, they had to steal one in Edmonton to have a chance in this series. And from my perspective, just because we've seen traditionally, like, the Oilers coming into this series were 5-12 all time in the Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl era in game ones. They are a team that always blows it in game one and seemingly always finds a way to get better as the series goes on and make their adjustments. And I just look at last night, and again, the Ducks had a lead late. They blow it. Last night might have been the one they were supposed to steal, and I think it's very easy to wake up here on a Tuesday morning in Edmonton and kind of go, hey, this is an Oilers team that, again, plays better as series go on. I think that's going to be the same case here.
Well, Tyler, thanks for waking up with us this morning. Good morning to you, sir. I wonder if any Leaf fans took a little bit of solace in Radko Gudas having that heel pick, where on like the 3-3 goal where I think it was Wallman fed Ekholm, and then he big slap shot, and then Dickinson buries the rebound. Like a modicum of solace. But I want to kind of switch gears and go over to the Eastern Conference, and I just have a quick quote from John Cooper after Montreal beat Tampa 4-3 in overtime in Tampa Bay. He was quoted as saying, "I had a problem with us. We took 4 offensive zone penalties. Just look at them. It's not over aggression. That was just stupidity on a lot of them. That was on us." Uri Slafkovsky has completes his hat trick. All 3 of his goals were on the power plays. I think Montreal had 5 power plays. It was crazy. My question for you is this. Victor Hedman, who has not been with the team since March 19th, he left due to personal reasons. This guy is a Norris Trophy winner. This guy's a Conn Smythe Trophy winner. Do you think Tampa can survive without Victor Hedman, their lead defenseman, who is not at 100%? Can they survive this round and maybe even the next round if Hedman's not in that lineup?
I mean, it wants to say yes, because they've, like you said, they haven't had him since March 19th. They've been finding a way to survive for a pretty long chunk of the season without him. And you look at how Darren Radish has played this year and the offense he's been able to give them. And they still got vets with guys like Ryan McDonough. But that series, like I was really torn on it when I was doing my bracket over on DFO. Just, again, all the signs of veteran team and all the signs point to Tampa. Goaltending, we're talking about Dobish against Vasilevsky, although Vasilevsky, if you go back through the last 3 post seasons, I think over those last runs, he has like an .880 save percentage. Like, playoff Vasilevsky really hasn't been around for a number of years. But I want to say that Tampa still has enough. Like, the Hedman thing, maybe it'll be more of a factor if he can't get in later on. I know he was taking the optional skate today, which is a sign that he's not ready to go, at least for this game. I think one of the equalizers, though, in this series against the Canadiens is that the Habs also don't have Noah Dobson. So you kind of look, and as much as, again, Darren Radish has taken a lot of the offensive workload in Tampa Bay this year, it's still, Victor Hedman's the guy they lean on for heavy minutes. And in Montreal, as much as Lane Hudson is the story and a guy who's probably going to win Norris's and all of that stuff, Noah Dobson's the guy who eats a lot of heavy assignments for the Montreal Canadiens. So I think this round, maybe not much of an issue. If they get past Montreal, even in round 2, if you get a Buffalo or a Boston, can they survive there? Sure. I think just once you get deeper, though, and again, maybe some of these more inexperienced guys on the Bolts blue line could maybe start to get for now. I don't think they're going to lose this series against Montreal just because Victor Hedman's not there. I think they're going to lose the series against Montreal if, like what you said off the jump, if they don't get their heads screwed on straight. That Jake Gensel penalty with 20 seconds left in the offensive zone, like you can't do that. For a veteran team, you got to be better at walking that line.
I know we're a Toronto show, but Dan and I have huge respect for Montreal, and it's such an exciting team. Hockey is religion in Montreal, so much so that in game 1, mother bleepers were watching the game in a cathedral. There was a moment where Sportsnet was coming back on the coverage, and Ron McLean's like, "Oh, here's the fans." There's a packed cathedral of people watching the hockey game in the house of the Lord. So my question to you is, what is the most unique place that you've ever watched the game? Doesn't have to be a playoff game, but just a game in general. You're either huddled around some 11-inch television monitor or somebody's phone trying to catch, a playoff game, regular season game, or whatever it is. And I'll share mine after this.
Yeah, there was a game a couple of years ago, Western Conference Final, and it was the Oilers played the Stars, and me and my group of buddies, we had a playoff softball game. Like, it was one of those where the Oilers game started at 6, and I think our softball game started at 9 because it's light till 10:30 in Edmonton, so you can do stuff like that. So we were sitting there, we're like, guys, what are we going to do? Like, that's right in the third period. So we brought generator, TV, backed up the truck right to the edge of the dugout, had everything kind of running, and then it was one of those where I think they won by a goal. Broberg scored late, but it was tight late in the game. So it was 7th inning of the softball game. There's 5 minutes left in the Oilers game, and we were like, hey, quick pause. 10-minute. The ump's like, yeah, I really don't care. It's like, hey, 10-minute pause. Everyone's going to watch the end of the Oilers game. We'll pick this meaningless stuff up after. But that's the one that kind of jumps out to me. I really don't know if I have another one.
No, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm sure you're playing, not intramural, co-ed softball or whatever, and then mother bleepers are drinking, and this it's so unserious, but so having a full barbecue right down the first baseline, it totally tracks for that kind of an event. I've told this story on the show before, but when Kobe dropped 81 against the Raptors, I think it was Jan 20, 2006. I was at an adult establishment here in Ontario, and in fact, it was in Niagara Falls, a place called the Sundowner, and just watching, there's a show right in front of me with 2 young ladies from Quebec, phenomenal, and then there was a show over here where Kobe's dropping 55 points in the second half, so I'm going, and then I'm dipping my chicken fingers in the plum sauce, and then back over here, and it was a remarkable night.
And I didn't know Cheyenne was from Quebec, though, Cab. Do you know that for sure? Or?
Oh, well, when you listen to them speak, you hear that heavy French accent. I'm like, are you guys from Gatineau? Are you guys from Hull? Anyway, what was my? Okay, yeah, sorry, I got distracted. Okay, so tonight, this is a weird. I'm so glad, Tyler, that you guys didn't get Edmonton versus LA part infinity, and the Colorado Avalanche are facing the Kings tonight. Dan and I were speaking before about the Raptors' chances of a gentleman's sweep, winning a game in their series against Cleveland. Does LA have a chance to win a game against the Colorado Avalanche, or should they just be banished back to Southern California? Thanks for coming out, fellas. We'll just fill in the W's from here.
Yeah, I think it's a series that's kind of over. Could they steal one? I mean, it's the Stanley Cup playoffs. Maybe they'll get a few bounces. I know they only lost 2-1, but that game, I thought that was Colorado's B- game to be nice, and still LA, who pushed really, really hard, and about as hard as they could push, it just still wasn't enough. So I think Colorado's got more in the tank here. I think that first game being a 1-goal game is maybe going to jolt awake the Avs a little bit. And yeah, I think if the Avs go up 2-0, game 3 will be the one that maybe LA going back to the, crypto.com arena now, going back to LA, maybe they'll have a little bit of life, but I would put money on a sweep right now. I think that one's going to be really, really quick. The other West series, though, even though Vegas had that good comeback against Utah, I'm still betting on that one to go deep. I don't think that's a series where, Vegas really proved all that much to me in game one. If anything, I came away from that, even though they lost, being like, man, Utah can skate. And similar to Edmonton, Anaheim, like, I'm a big speed kills guy, and I get that in the playoffs, things can get bogged down, and it's about physicality and all of that. I just think there's going to be a few nights in this series. If Utah can sort of stay away from the extracurriculars and not try to be Vegas, I think Utah can really push the Golden Knights. So yeah, LA, Colorado, I'll say that one's a wrap. Utah, Vegas, I think we could see 7 in there. That's kind of my bold take of the first round.
Just wait till Vegas Golden Knights fans see Mitch Marner in a game 5, 6, and 7 of a playoff series. Well, you won't see him. It's because he's kind of invisible once it gets to 5, 6, 7. But,
why are we killing Mitchie, Dan?
Because we're a Toronto sports show, Cab. That's what we do. Tyler, the other Canadian team is the Ottawa Senators, and they're down 0-2 in their series to Carolina. Both very close games. I'm not going to lie, though, like Brady Tkachuk, there's like a certain part of me that just loves seeing this guy get absolutely stonewalled and struggle in the playoffs. Maybe it's the Leaf fan in me. Maybe it's the Canada fan in me going back to the Olympics and going up against Team USA. But there is, I don't know, Brady Tkachuk in the playoffs. I don't think the Sens have gotten out of him what they've needed out of him. And I think that's one of those things, like sometimes it feels like he has an idea of what he needs to do in the playoffs, and that goes against what his team needs from him in, getting into a fight with Jordan Staal. Like, that's a win for Carolina starting in game 1. And I think his head isn't always in the game where it needs to be.
Yeah, I love old school hockey, all of that. It's the playoffs. You kick it off with a fight. I felt like that was a little performative. You're on the road against the Canes. You need Brady Tkachuk on the ice. You don't need him sitting in the penalty box for 5 minutes. And you're bang on with the fact that Carolina, as much as they love their captain Jordan Staal, they will take that trade-off every single day of the week. I'm a big believer in the saying, you're never in trouble till you lose at home, right? Like if you're the Ottawa Senators and if someone told you before the series, hey, you're going to win all your home games and force a game 7 against Carolina, like you would absolutely take that scenario. So I'm by no means writing off the Ottawa Senators. Last night, would have been one that they undoubtedly would have loved to have. But one big I'm pulling from these first 2 games for the Sens is the fact that Linus Ullmark's looking like kind of in his prime Linus Ullmark. And the regular season was a mess, right? There was all those storylines, all the off-ice stuff we heard about him. And you feel for a guy when he goes through that. But Ottawa needed him to be the guy they're paying $8.25 million for. And throughout the regular season, he was far, far, far from that guy. If they want any hope of coming back in this series, and again, I think they're fully capable of going back on home ice and winning a couple hockey games here in Carolina. I don't view Carolina as these big juggernauts in the Eastern Conference. They're going to need Ullmark to keep playing like he did in those first 2 periods, but coming into the series, that was a question mark. I don't think it is anymore. Ottawa will get the goaltending to get back in this series. It's a matter of, can Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, can those guys find a way to get 3 goals on Carolina? Like, that's literally all it will take.
Tyler, we appreciate the time. Thanks for this today.
Yeah, no problem, guys. How about Dylan Cease last night, too? 12 Ks, gas him up. Let's go.
Ooh, that mustache was on fire, bro. Just like he just needs to give one of these, like after after a big inning.
Two critiques on Dylan Cease. He left my boy Davis Schneider hanging on the fist bump, and 2, you're gonna need him to get later into ball games at some point. Like the strikeouts are nice, but we needed a 7-inning game once in a while. The last time, anyways.
I wanted to talk a little Jays. Wanted to talk a little Blue Jays because.
Okay, how you feeling about Jeff Hoffman? Thank you. How you feeling about Jeff Hoffman?
Oh, I'm a Jeff Hoffman truther. I feel like I'm the last guy fighting the war right now. I like
Schneider.
I think that fans just love to hate their closer. I mean, everyone last year's like, couldn't get it done in Game 7, and it's like, okay, strikes out Julio in Game 7 of the ALCS, stares down the meat of the Yankees order in an elimination game at Yankee Stadium. Like, he had big moments. I just think closers, when you lose a game because of your closer, everyone forgets else that happened in the game and just goes, that guy's fault. It is that guy's fault that we lost the game. It's like, hey, be up by more than a run. Like, has he had a good start to the year? No, I'm also not stupid. I'm watching the games. But I just think all in all, it's a little bit like goaltending in the NHL where, like, there are 3 or 4 truly elite closers in baseball. And then the rest of them are just kind of a big mush. In hockey, you have 3 to 4 truly elite goalies, and I really do believe that everybody else is mush and it's volatile, and you need to have probably 2 guys to survive a season. I just think the Jays are more in that camp where, like, do I think Jeff Hoffman needs to be DFA'd and is brutal? No. I think he just needs probably a little bit more help and someone to share that workload with him. So that is my antiquated take on Jeff Hoffman as the Blue Jays closer.
I will say this, like the way that mother bleeper screamed on the mound after, he in the night, it was like a redemption game for him. Strikes out Josh Lowe, strikes out Logan O'Hoppe, and then strikes out Adam Frazier, who chased a 98-mile-an-hour fastball out of the zone. Like I feel like that was either a bleep you to, that's probably the bleep you to all Blue Jays fans, because I'm sure on his phone every day people are telling him that he's trash and that he should be sent down to Buffalo, and he doesn't deserve whatever he's being paid. So I know like that reaction came from a deep place, like, fuck you guys. You know what I mean? I feel that you need to say bleep the world, like Tupac, bleep the world, Yeah, bleep the world. I'm like trying to not say the word, but anyway, obviously people know what the word is. Anyway, Tyler, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you for coming on. This
yeah, no problem, guys. See you, boys.
There is Tyler Yaremchuk helping us kick off the Blue Jays conversation here on Off the Roster as they get the win last night over the Angels, and it's back-to-back wins. That's been happened few and far between so far early on in this season, and for me, like, the biggest story is Jeff Hoffman in the 9th inning there, Cab. Like, Schneider, the way he used his bullpen in the game. And if you play it out, like, in my head, I'm like, they're going to go to Jeff Hoffman in the 9th. I don't know how I feel about that given the way that's gone recently, but you play it out and it's like, okay, you got Louis Varland in the 7th. Guy's been absolutely lights out. Then you go to Tyler Rogers for the top of the Angels order in the 8th inning. And all that guy does is get the softest contact ever. Like, I've never seen this guy give up anything other than a swinging bunt. It's insane how consistent Tyler Rogers is with that. And then, you go to Hoffman, and it is the highest leverage because it's the 9th inning, but it's also against the bottom of the Angels order. Like, if he can't get that done, then what can you trust to get this guy done at all? And he just goes out there and he mows them down with by striking out the side. Like, to me, it was nice to see Hoffman do that, and I do think Schneider actually played it well given how the lineup shook out in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings.
Hey, we got to give credit to the Toronto pitchers. Dylan Cease, 12 strikeouts. That guy, it wasn't a gem, but it was a fantastic performance. Only gave up 2 earned runs, but Varland and Hoffman in the final 2 innings. Varland faced 4 batters, 3 strikeouts. Hoffman retires, strikes out the side base, or he faced 4 batters, but 6 strikeouts from your 2, your setup man and your closer. Like, that's what we need. And Anaheim's a pretty good team, but like the confidence. Listen, I got to credit John Schneider for like the way that he managed Jeff Hoffman, because like that's his guy. He has to publicly say, tell everybody, like, I believe in him. He's going to be our guy. And then Louis Varland's been unbelievable. As you mentioned, it's like lights out. I love that, when he struck out Trout, it was 97 cheese. And Mike Trout's like one of the most dangerous hitters in the game. And, in that performance in the 8th, just setting up Hoffman, like, yes, like Toronto needed one of those. And also just the confidence of Vlad Guerrero Jr. right now, like against Reed Detmers coming into the game, he was 0 for 7. Last night, 3 for 4. Homer, I think he had a double. Let me just check my notes here. What do you have? 2-run shot, 107 exit velo to date straight center. And again, I'm mentioning Mike Trout. Mike Trout just doing one of these, just like, and that hit like well up on the grass. Like, when your lead dog is going, and that's Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I'm sure it just instills confidence in the rest of the lineup. And, Dylan Cease, electric stuff. It was a quality win for Toronto. But again, salute to the pitchers, Cease, Varland, and certainly Jeff Hoffman, who I think was a bit of a redemption game for him.
I want to bring in producer Zach Phillips to the conversation. Are we feeling better about Jeff Hoffman as the closer here, Zach? Because this is, there was a lot of guys, a lot of Jays fans like me yesterday who got a little bit, tight in the seat when they saw Jeff Hoffman coming out for the 9th.
No, I'm not at all.
You're not?
No, I'm still with you guys. Like, this is heart attack Hoffman. It's great. You had a game that we got through. We won the game. Great. Congratulations. Claps all around. But you just know the blow up is in him. It's like, guys, honestly, and I'll relate it back to hockey. It's like Freddie Anderson. I don't know how people ever got the confidence in Freddie Anderson in Toronto that they did, but the amount of times we would watch Freddie go out there and the conversation would be, okay, we can trust him because he had an amazing regular season. He finally got through. He finished the year strong. This is the year we can rely on Freddie Anderson. And then Freddie Anderson lets a goal in from below the goal line off his ass, and it's a tying goal with a minute left in the game. Or he lets one in that's a 5-hole shot where he wasn't looking at the shooter because he thought the guy was passing it, and it's a backbreaker in a Game 7 or a Game 6. You can trust the guy for a long time, Cabbie, but at the end of the day, there's that moment where they just come back and rip your heart out, and then you just sit there and look in the mirror and go, am I the idiot for trusting this guy? Is this my fault? That's kind of how I feel about Jeff Hoffman right now.
Every Leaf fan watching the Dylan Cousins goal last night was like, oh, there's Freddie. Yep. I remember this guy.
I've seen that before.
Seen this guy before. Seen this movie before. And, because of the heartbreak of Game 7, Jeff Hoffman's going to have to live that down somehow. If you look at his numbers, he's striking out 50% of the batters he faces. Mm-hmm. Some of it is unlucky what's happened to him this year, but it comes back to it. Like, are you, these underlying numbers can look good, but when we need you, you're still screwing up, or you're still giving up that one meatball that costs us the game. Because when you're the closer, you can't have that one mistake. Whereas, a starter can go 5 innings and give up 4 runs, and, his hitters still have a chance to win that game back. But when you're the closer, that chance doesn't really exist for you in a different kind of way.
I'm sorry there. Sorry, Dan. I like the pitch selection in the 9th. He strikes out Josh Lowe on a fastball low in the zone. And then Logan O'Hoppe slider away. And then Adam Frazier chases a 98-mile-an-hour fastball out of the zone. This might be the Jeff, this game might be the TSN turning point for Jeff Hoffman. Obviously, he has to exercise some demons from the World Series. And he gave up the home run to Miguel Rojas. Right? Was it Will Smith or Miguel Rojas?
Rojas. Will Smith hit Rojas. It off of Bieber in extras.
Oh, right. This might be the moment where things turn around for him, and then obviously the final redemption, like Freddie Anderson, will have to come in the Stanley Cup final if Carolina can finally get there, and if Toronto can get back, the Carolina Hurricanes get to the Stanley Cup final, and Toronto get back to the World Series. But something for us to root for, going from heart attack Hoffman to slight chest pain Hoffman to maybe all the way just Sunday after
Tums Hoffman.
Yeah, only need a Tums Hoffman. Yes,
to Sunday at 1:30. NFL Sunday Red Zone channel completely relaxed Hoffman. That's where we got to get it down to, that 0 out of 10 on the panic meter, worryometer, whatever buzzy phrase that Dan invents when we're having this conversation in September.
Well, maybe the turning point will be the bus trip that they took from Phoenix to Anaheim, as their plane was causing them issues. Only Dylan Cease flew from Phoenix to Anaheim. That's man, what a choice. Guy gets the commercial flight. Everybody else has to stick it out 5.5 hours on a bus. I do wonder if they stopped at an Arby's or a McDonald's or a White Castle.
Oh man, you got to go In and Out. Yeah, you're in California. You got to go In and Out burger.
We were just in Penticton and Kelowna with Jeff Merrick doing the sheet stuff out there.
Yeah.
And the PR guy for Penticton was telling us, because he's in the WHL, they have to do all the travel between all the different cities out in the WHL. Yeah. So Prince George, one of the trips they went on, that's 9 hours. Then they had to go out to one of the places on the bus, and they had to go to one of the places in Alberta. He said on the way back, the only way to get from where they were in Alberta back to where they were trying to go in Penticton was over a bridge. The bridge was closed. So they had to go and pull over on the side of the road for 9 hours.
Oh, my God.
And wait, He said they spent 6 hours sitting in a McDonald's. They had breakfast, lunch, and dinner in there.
Come on.
Yeah.
That is somebody's nightmare. That's, oh my gosh. Dude.
So, okay. My horrifying bus story is while working at Sportsnet in Vancouver, and we get an invite with Coors to go on this like Blue Jays fan experience driving down on a bus from Vancouver to Seattle. Okay. And we leave like 10 a.m. and a normal ride from Vancouver to Seattle is like 2.5, 3 hours tops. It's pretty easy most of the way. 10 a.m. this bus leaves, and they're like, hey, we've got drinks for everybody down at the hotel in Seattle. It's going to be a great time. We're going to take you to the game, all this stuff. Cool. And it was also like August long weekend. And you got some PR folk not from Vancouver trying to guide this bus down to Seattle, and they decide, oh, look at this long lineup at the border. Maybe we should try a different border crossing. And we got stuck at the border crossing for 5 hours because it was one lane in, one lane out. Who decided this? We got stuck for 5 hours. We left 10 a.m. in Vancouver. We did not make it for first pitch at T-Mobile Park between the Blue Jays and Mariners. It was unbelievable. Imagine how many upset people were on that bus. We could have flew to Europe, and like all the way from the PNW to London, England. We could have made that flight in the time it took us to get from Vancouver to Seattle. Just a disaster. Oh.
Were there any drinks on the bus at least? Like, could you at least turn up?
We stopped at the duty free and made sure to stock up, but it was not the best fan experience that was ever put on.
Yeah,
I'll
but
say
the
that
problem
much.
with that is you got to wait because you can't be drinking anything before you cross.
Yes.
You got the 5 hours.
Maybe a couple little sips, like just get a sniff.
Just a life lesson if you're ever going out to one of those Blue Jays in Seattle games. Make sure you leave enough time for the border crossing. All right, Blue Jays back at it tonight. They'll have Patrick Corbin on the mound as they try to go for a third consecutive win, something they haven't done since they swept the A's to start the season. It's time now for the next big thing, presented by Coca-Cola.
Hey, Toronto, the FIFA World Cup Trophy Tour by Coca-Cola is coming to your city May 25th through 26th. So come down to see the original FIFA World Cup 26 trophy in person and keep that excitement bubbling.
Visit the link in the description for a chance to win tickets. Walk-up guests are allowed during public hours, subject to capacity.
Visit the link below for your chance to score tickets.
I'm looking at the next big thing being Mr. Game Over. I don't know if anybody's given him this name yet, but Mason Miller is Mr. Game Over for the Padres, the Friars, whatever you want to call them. He is the most dominant pitcher in baseball right now. Sorry, Tarek Skubal. Sorry, Paul Skeens. I don't care who you want to say. Mason Miller is more dominant than any of those guys. 8 for 8 on saves. He's gone 11 2/3 this season, or 11 1/3 this season of scoreless ball. His full scoreless inning streak is at 32 2/3, is 1 inning off a franchise record for the Padres. But the craziest thing, this guy is striking out over 70% of the batters he faces right now. Like, Jeff Hoffman is number 2 and he's at 50. And Mason Miller is striking out more than 2/3 of the batters he faces. So he goes out there for an inning, he's at least getting 2 strikeouts. That's the baseline. And more often than not, he is striking out the side. He is absolutely unhittable. He's given up just 2 hits in the time that he has pitched so far this season. Mason Miller, he's already a big thing, but he's an even bigger thing with the way that he's pitching right now. The most dominant pitcher in baseball, Mr. Game Over, Mason Miller.
Unreal. I'm going to start this with, oh, say, can you see Sinker, slider, knuckle curve coming at me. So proudly he sailed. Best start to a season. I sent Dan an email. Anaheim's ace, Jose Soriano, not an American, but the start of a season has the makings of a raucous Hollywood thrill ride. Only 2 pitchers have allowed 1 or 0 runs in the first 5 starts to a season ever, and that's Walter Johnson of the 1913 Washington Senators and Fernando Valenzuela of the 1981 Los Angeles Dodgers. If the Dodgers are Julia Roberts in the late 1990s, blockbuster after blockbuster, then Jose Soriano is Jennifer Lopez in 2001. Number 1 movie in the country with the number 1 album in the country at the same time. J-Lo meet J-So. Okay, now that was corny, but his numbers are bangers. There was a stat I saw on StatMuse, or a graphic on StatMuse. Leader in wins with 5. Leader in ERA across Major League Baseball, 0.28. Leader in WHIP, 0.73, and 39 strikeouts. Only 1 hitter has homered off of Soriano this season, and that's Drake Baldwin from the Atlanta Braves. That's basically Jennifer Lopez's brief marriage to choreographer Chris Judd. Just like that one little blemish. We might get a Jose Soriano Cy Young and a Mason Miller Cy Young before Grand Theft Auto 6. Ring the 5th alarm. Jose Soriano and Mason Miller are your next big things.
Yeah, not to bring this up, but Jose Soriano is pitching against the Jays tomorrow. As our
I know.
chat has
That
mentioned.
is why I brought it up on Wednesday.
He is the probable. So if the Jays want to win their first series in their last 7, maybe getting a win tonight with Corbin on the mound is kind of a big deal. So, Soriano's been that good.
On the other side tonight, it's Jack Hanowitz, a right-handed pitcher for Anaheim. So we got to take Jack deep and then deal with all those problems that are Jose Soriano on Wednesday for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Shout out to the chat. Clayton saying that he had a 50-hour Greyhound bus from Calgary to Toronto.
5-0?
50
hours.
Oh my God.
I would just rather not go.
Seriously.
50
you
hours.
could fly to Australia and back in 50 hours, I think.
And spend a day.
And
They
spend
even-
a day, yeah.
They have a Greyhound service from Calgary to Toronto? That is like insane.
They
Who
must.
wants to do that? Who wants that?
Oh my gosh.
That's actually good time. Did the bus didn't even stop? It was like Keanu Reeves driving the bus. Was this speed?
Nice.
Like 50
Well done.
hours from Calgary to Toronto? I don't know.
I guess it sounds like a lot, but maybe it's not based on the distance. I think it's 4,000 kilometers or something like that from
but you gotta
Calgary
go,
to
like,
Toronto, in that ballpark.
You got to go around. Like, maybe if you go through the U.S. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't even know, 'cause you
I don't
gotta,
know the
like-
logistics of the
Yeah.
bus. But I just know I don't want to sit on one for 50 hours.
Clayton,
Good
why
point.
didn't you fly,
Good
bro? Can you tell us that give us that
This is the
answer
thing,
in the
like,
comments.
People
my
bring
G.
this up all the time. Like, man, I want to like train across Canada one day. It's probably a beautiful ride. I'm like, yeah, you know how long and expensive that is? It's way cheaper to fly around. So
Well, is it? I don't know, man. Like
It
in
is.
Canada,
yeah, train prices are they're expensive. Anyways. Before we let you go, there is a story that I did want to bring up, but before we
we got to do our pro line picks too.
we do have to get to our pro line picks of the day here on Off the Roster as we get to it. The new pro line app is here. Bet baseball online and in store. This ain't the old pro line. The new app makes betting baseball easier than ever. Enjoy more props, the same game parlays, all baseball season long on the new pro line app. I won't be going with baseball tonight. I do want to look at the Stanley Cup playoffs for my pick tonight, Cab. As we talked a lot about the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Montreal Canadiens, maybe a little bit of redemption for Jake Guentzel after that bad penalty he took in Game 1. He did have, I think, 4 shots on goal in Game 1, was held scoreless, did have a couple of apples, though. Tonight, he gets on the score sheet. I think Jake Guentzel is one of the most underrated players in all of hockey, and he's going to get one tonight for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I might sprinkle a same game parlay on that too with Tampa to win the game, but we'll start and keep our pick to just Jake Gensel on an anytime goal.
I like a little sprinkle dinkle. Dan Riccio, these picks are for entertainment purposes only. The Houston Astros won by a touchdown yesterday in Cleveland, beating the Guardians 9-2. The Astros ended a 4-game slide. Parker Messick from Cleveland is emerging as Cleveland's ace. The crafty lefty has struck out 20 batters in about 20 innings and holds a 1.05 ERA. Houston's got pop in their lineup with Jose Altuve and Yordan Alvarez hitting over 340 against lefties. Messick is a lefty. But the rest of the Astros lineup, no bueno. Parker Messick to register over 5.5 strikeouts this evening against Houston is my pro line pick of the day.
All right, there are your pro line picks for today, and of course, for entertainment purposes only. I wonder if one day we'll be able to bet on ESPN Jeopardy, because apparently it is coming, and we're going to have Joe Buck be the host, of ESPN Jeopardy, according to Front Office Sports. I think this is, I used to watch, you remember Stump the Schwab on the Score?
Yeah, of course. It was on the Score,
man. Yeah. For just like an absolute sports nerd like me, it's the Jeopardy part of this is legit. I'm very into this whole idea, and I know some people hate Joe Buck. I think Joe Buck is he's just got the perfect cadence as a play-by-play guy, and he makes a ton of sense as a host of ESPN Jeopardy.
I'm not mad at this. I mean, keep getting them checks, Joe Buck. I mean, he's a legendary broadcaster in 2 sports. I want to say this dude started calling like World Series baseball games at like 25. And obviously his dad, Jack Buck, was a Hall of Fame broadcaster as well. We'll see you tomorrow night. Like his legendary call, Minnesota Twins, Kirby Puckett hits a home run in Game 6 tomorrow night. Anyway, but yeah, Joe Buck, I'm not mad at this. And I do remember Stump the Schwab. It was a great show that I was working at the Score at the time. I think Schwab's actual name was Howie something, and he was just like the nerd in the office.
So that's so less fun. Stump the Howie? Yeah. No, it doesn't work.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like Chris Berman gave him that nickname or whatever. But yeah, I'm into ESPN Jeopardy. I'll watch it, or at least I'll see some clips on Twitter when people drop the bag, and that's kind of what we enjoy when we're just watching clips of shows. People have these moments where just have these little brain freezes or whatnot. But I'll watch it. Zach, are you in ESPN Jeopardy?
Yeah, I'm not really like the biggest trivia Jeopardy guy though. That's the only thing. This will be something that I'll have to get into in the summer more than anything, and then try to feel that one out. I'm pretty bad at Jeopardy as well. I think that's the problem. You know how everybody, they sit on their couches at home, they're like, I could do this. I sit on my couch at home like, I have no shot at doing this. Like, I have no chance. So I think that might be the disconnect for me, where I'm like, I couldn't do it. I can't answer these questions. I'm out. This one might be one to get me in, though. If it's just strictly sports, I kind of like this. I'm into this.
Well, you should know that we've already submitted your application to be a contestant.
Okay, thanks.
I'm the guy that like watches Jeopardy and gets hyped whenever there's like one sports category. Like, okay, cool. They've left one for me here. That's nice.
I like it when they have like hip hop categories. That's where I'm like, oh, okay, it's Drake, it's Kendrick, it's 2 Chainz, it's Ludacris or whatever. Jay-Z.
Jeopardy's in my bag today, so we can get to it. It's we'll see. Joe Buck for ESPN Jeopardy. Tomorrow I won't be here tomorrow, so it'll be Cab, Lindsay, and Zach on the show. We'll keep you getting ready for the Cavaliers and Raptors, and more of a debrief on the Blue Jays as they look to get a series win over the Angels with Patrick Corbin on the mound tonight. We'll see you tomorrow, chat.
Bye, guys.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more Off the Roster content, make sure to like and hype this video and subscribe to the Off the Roster YouTube.